right, so here we are continuing with Lesson 4, Learn 3. And the very first step says, with the trade show brochure draft document open, click the Layout tab, and in the Page Setup group, click Orientation, and then click Landscape. Now that's a lot of words, but basically, this is our document. It's called the Trade Show Brochure Draft. And we're going to click the Layout tab. We've been working a lot in the Home tab and the File tab. Now we're going to work in the Layout tab. And then we have our groups. So we've got the Page Setup group, the Paragraph group, and the Arrange group. And in the Page Setup group, I'm going to click on Orientation, and then I'm going to click Landscape. Then at the top of the document, I'm going to type what's coming up at Tolano and press Enter. So, what's coming up at Tolano? Question mark, press Enter. Now, you could also copy and paste that information. Copying and pasting is a word feature, so it's not considered cheating in this class. You can copy, hit select, copy selected text, and then click into your document and right-click to paste, or Control-V. Control-C will copy, Control-V will paste. Then I'm going to click on the Layout tab, and in the Page Setup group, click Columns. So still in the Layout tab, in this Page Setup group, I am clicking Columns and 2. Notice how the document now shows the text in 2 columns, including the title. So even though we had our cursor here at the New Tour Offering, it applied 2 columns to the entire document. So this is a good start to the newsletter, but we would want the title, what's coming up at Tolano, to be the main feature at the top of this page. I'll make it a little bit easier to read. So I'm going to select the entire title line, and on the Layout tab, in the columns, I'm going to click 1. Then that made it its own column, so it's at the top of the page, and it makes it a little bit easier to read for those who are looking. Now it says, if necessary, delete the blank space between the headings What's Coming Up at Tolano and New Tour Offering. I do not have a blank space. I have white space, but that is not the same. Blank space is like this. This is a blank space. And I know that because I actually have my show hide paragraph markings on, so it'll let me know everywhere that I've hit enter, and I can see that behind the scenes. I like to use that all the time. Mark that as answered. Next, it says select the text What's Coming Up at Tolano, so our title there, and then I'm going to click in the Home tab. And in the Styles group, that's what we're using in Lesson 3, I have to click my arrow to open up and see all of the styles, and I'm going to apply Heading 1. Then on the Home tab and in the Font group, this is our Font group. On the Home tab, I'm going to change my font size from 14 to 18. Then I'm going to press Control-E, and that's going to center my text. So the Control and then the letter E, we'll put that right in the center of my page. So notice now how the title appears more in balance at the top of the newsletter. We're going to also change our spacing. So I'm going to click the Layout tab, and in the Paragraph group, change the spacing before from 24 point to 0. And then the spacing after from 0 to 12. And it goes in increments of 6, so you only have to click it twice to get to 12. You can see that's a little bit more, that's a little easier to read for people. So we want to make things as easy to read as possible. That's what formatting is all about. Now you might say, but wait, I thought the Paragraph group was in the Home tab. Well, it is. So the Home tab has a paragraph group, but the Layout tab also has a paragraph group. One is going to talk more about what the paragraph looks like and how it's positioned, or how it properties of the paragraph, and the layout is going to be more the sizing and space between the lines and between the paragraphs. Mark that as answered. Be sure you pay attention to whether you're on the Layout tab paragraph group or the Home tab paragraph group. All right, now I'm going to scroll through the pages of the newsletter to look at how the text flows. And suppose I decide I want to have the newsletter fit on one page. So I'm now going to change the margins as well as increase the number of columns to 3. So I'm going to click on the Layout tab, and in the Page Setup group, this is right here, I'm going to click the margins and then select Narrow. Then on the Home tab and in the Paragraph group, it wants me to turn on my Show Hide markings. Now I already have mine on, but I am going to go to the Home tab and click on that just so the program will recognize that I did turn them on. And then it says that you can see that there's a continuous section break right here. Mark is answered. Now I'm going to click the Layout tab, and in the Page Setup group, click the Page Setup Dialog Box Launcher. Now that should ring a bell to you, Dialog Box Launcher. That was in All About Me, and it was where small caps case was hiding for the schedule for your teacher. So you may remember that. Our groups that have too many options have a dialog box launcher. So you'll see on the Home tab, I've got the Clipboard group, the Font group, Paragraph group, and the Styles group all have dialog box launcher. And that's because there are more features in that group than could fit on the ribbon. So in order to see more, I need to hit the dialog box launcher, but not in the Paragraph group. I'm going to the Layout tab. And in the Page Setup group, I'm going to click the Dialog Box Launcher, which will open up my dialog box. And then I'm going to click the arrow for the Apply To field. So at the very bottom of this dialog box, it says Apply To. And right now it says Apply to this section, so it would only apply to the one section. So after the section break, it would be different. I click that, and I'm going to choose Whole Document. Now you'll notice my margins disappeared. That's okay. It warns you that that might happen. You just have to go back in and actually type 0.5 and 0.5 and 0.5 and 0.5. Now if you want it to look like it normally does, you can use the little arrows to make it then 0.5 inches, but it's not necessary. 0.5 would be enough to get it to work. And we can click OK. And now you'll notice my whole document has that 0.5 margin. Then it wants me to turn off the Show Hide feature, so I'm going to go to the Home tab, and in the Paragraph group, click on the Show Hide. I turned it off, but I'm going to turn mine back on because it helps me working in Word. I'm going to mark that as answered. Then I'm going to change the number of columns from 2 to 3. So I'm going to click anywhere in the 2-column text, which this is 1 column, so that's the only place I can't click. Everything else in my document is 2-column text. So I click anywhere in my 2-column text, and in the Page Setup group, in the Layout tab, so back to Layout, in my Page Setup group, I'm going to click Columns and 3. Now you notice I've got 3 columns instead of 2. There are some broken paragraphs though, and it doesn't make it very easy for my reader. So I'm going to click at the beginning of the word Our Presentations. This is Our Presentations, clicking at the beginning, and then I'm going to press Control and Enter. You'll notice that entered a page break, so Control and Enter will enter a page break, so put all of the text onto the next page. Now on the Quick Access toolbar, I'm going to click the Undo button to undo the page break action. So up here on a Quick Access toolbar, Undo, it's an amazing feature. You should know it. It may help you in the future. Mark is answered. And now I'm going to press Control, Shift, and Enter to insert a column break. So Control and Enter was a page break. Now I'm going to insert a column break. So I'm still right before the O in our presentations. I'm going to press Control, Shift, and Enter. And I've got a column break. So now you'll notice that instead of putting the information on the next page, it put them in the next column. And there's a hint. You can also click Column from the Breaks command in the Page Setup group of the Layout tab. So the Layout tab in the Page Setup group, it's got this Breaks function here. And if I click on that, I can choose column breaks or page breaks, different types of breaks that I can enter. As you know, there are many ways to do the same thing in Word. We're always going to do it the way that Jasper Active tells us because it's a very specific program. But when you're working in Word, you can find the way that works best for you. Mark that as answered. Now it says with the cursor anywhere in the column text starting with new tour offering. So the column is all of the information that goes from top to bottom in this one column. And it starts with new tour offering and ends with admission to the trade show. So this line is one column. So I can click anywhere in this first column. And then I am going to click Columns and More Columns. And I'm going to enter a line between these columns. So I'm going to select this box here that says Line Between. Check that box. And then I'm going to change the measurement for my spacing from 0.5 down 2 clicks to 0.3. Click OK. And now I've got my new document. It's a little easier to read. If I click on this picture here, I can see what my document should look like. And it looks just like that one. So I can close that, mark as answered, and submit. And that is Lesson 4, Learn 3.